Hello and welcome. My name is Stefan Czech. I'm living in Germany. I'm a DOP, Steadicam operator and filmmaker. And as a filmmaker, I have something to do with the editing also. And today I want to have a closer look on Edius Pro 7 working together with native 4K footage. 4K out of the Panasonic GH4. Before we go deeper into the editing with Edius Pro 7 and how they can manage with the 4K natively in real time, I have a short film, a short clip I produced for the presentation on the Photokina 2014. The entire clip was shot on the Panasonic GH4 in 4K. And this is really cool to work in Edius because you have everything in real time. So the properties of this clip is 4K H.264 AVC codec and is native right out of the camera. No converting, no transcoding or whatever. Everything on the timeline, and it works in real time. A double click on the window and you see the full screen preview of this clip. Of course, when your monitor is only a 2K monitor or the normal resolution is 1920 by 1200, then you always see this resolution. Only if you have a 4K capable display, you can see the full resolution. And Edius always delivers the full resolution. So there's no down converting to show the preview of your footage. In this clip, I bring some different styles together. This is a kind of time lapse. This is more or less a handheld, a shot in the wild. In this case, I put the camera on the ground to get a stable, nice and stable shot. And here are some shots I made for Carl Zeiss for the presentation of the new lens for the Photokina 2014. And at the end, another product shots of a watch. To show you the capability of Edius, I changed a little bit of my scenes. For instance, here in this scene, I had a hard cut. But anyways, I put it together and bring a dissolve in between these both scenes. And I can play back in real time. So there is no need for reconverting or for a rendering of this scene. And that's the real power of Edius to work in any resolution you want. To visualize the difference between 4K and Full HD, I start a new project in Edius. The project settings 3840 by 2160 pixels, 25 frames per second. This resolution called also Ultra HD, UHD or Quad Full HD, because it's 4 times bigger than a normal Full HD picture. This clip of the rose is Full HD, so it's not 4K, but it looks like the same size in the timeline like the original 4K footage. And this is because Edius resize or downsize everything on the timeline fitting to the properties of the timeline. So if you have a 4K timeline, put an HD clip on it, you will see it in the same dimension. When we open the layouter is the tool laying on every clip you put in on the timeline with the ability to change the position or the size of this clip. You see we have a stretch of 200%. So this means Edius stretch automatically the size of the footage that it fits into the timeline. When we bring it down to 100%, this is the original size of this clip on a 4K timeline. Let's bring it here in the lower quarter. And then we can see the difference, 4K and 2K. Here you see the clip 4 times in the timeline. To show you how to work in Edius, we start with the beginning. The project settings is on 4K, 3840 by 2160, 25p. We have several ways to import any footage onto the timeline. I open up the bin window and I can see all the footage I have already imported into my project folder. You can drag and drop from your Explorer, or you can import the folder directly. Double click and you have it in your player window. You set your in and out point, put it on the timeline, and you're ready to go. Double click and you can see it in full resolution. As I said before, of course, only if you have a 4K monitor, you see the full 4K resolution. There's another way to import footage into your project. When you open the bin window with the key B for bin, you can select the source browser. Source browser gives you a couple other import possibilities. Here you can see the SD card from the camera in the card reader. And we see here all the footage on the SD cards. Double click on one of this and you see the footage in your player window. It's still on the SD card, of course. You can select one clip or all clips, right click with the mouse, and then you have different selections. The first is add to bin. In this case, the clips will show in the bin, but stays on the SD card. The next option is add and transfer to bin. In this case, all the clips goes to the bin ordner and will be copied on your hard drive directly in your project folder. Let's do this. Let's go to the bin and then you see all these clips will now be copied on the hard drive. Now it's on my hard drive in my project folder. And one of the major questions for 4K is why I have to work in 4K even my end result, my end product is only in full HD. One of the reasons is the ability to crop or to resize and to reframe your shot. Okay, for this I show you an example. The project settings at the moment are 4K. I switch to full HD. Then I bring my clip on the timeline. This clip is, of course, 4K. And as I described before, Edius resize now this 4K footage fitting to the full HD timeline. So it looks like the same, but now I have the possibility for reframing my shot in the post without losing of the resolution. For this example, I go here on this point, push the key C and C for cut, right click, layouter or F7. This opens up the layouter and you see the footage is now resized, downsized to 50% because the clip is 4K. When I bring it up to 100%, you see this is my timeline and this is the footage. And now I can go and reframe my shot. And now you see we have the same shot, but we have a reframing. And because of the higher resolution, you have no loss of the resolution on a full HD screen on a full HD project. Here's another example for the benefits or the advantage to shoot in 4K when you produced your end result is in full HD. This clip is shot right out of the hand. It's a little bit shaky, especially here in this part. And I put in stabilizer. The stabilizer comes with Edius on this clip. And in this time it looks much smoother. I open up the adjustments of the video stabilizer. Everything is here on default and I can split the screens. How does this video stabilizer software works? By analyzing frame by frame and finding some shapes, the software try to stabilize the picture by moving the picture up and down and right to left to bring the shape nearly in the same position as in the picture in the frame before. But when you move the frame up and down, you get black border, or you see the background of this picture. To prevent this black border or this flaming borders, there is an option it calls auto trimming. So the software crop in the picture, depending on how big these borders become. To crop in a picture means normally you lost some of this resolution. But when you use 4K footage on a 1080p timeline, you have so much resolution, there is no problem. We have so many information that we can, in post, make a zoom without losing any resolution. For this, I go into the layouter and set some keyframes. I will start here and I will start with, let's say, 100%. So this is a zoom in, and on this point I want to be back to 50% and reframe everything. Now we have a zoom backwards achieved in the 4K footage without any loss of the resolution. But let's talk about another nice feature on the Lumix GH4 from Panasonic. Especially when it comes down to achieve a slow-mo. Now we have a clip. This is a clip shot in 25 frames per second. Change the speed of 50%. So I want to achieve a 50% slow-mo. The program had to recalculate every frame. So he had to calculate new frames. So you see, this is an original frame, this is a calculated frame. It's a kind of frame blending between frame 1 and frame 2. In between we have this frame blending. But with a GH4 you can shoot 1080p with 50 frames per second. So you record 50 frames per second and now you have much more footage to play with. So I have the double amount of frames to work with. There is two possibilities. One, I go on properties and change the frame rate from 50 to 25. Now Edius give me a warning that now the clip has changed from the properties, and I said, oh, it's okay. Now the clip is double the time. It's 50% slow-mo. Let's take a closer look and we see every single frame is real. It's no calculation. There's no frame blending. So for this particular, you have a beautiful real 50% slow-mo. The other way, let's change it back to the native 50 frames per second. Okay. Another way is go on time effect speed. Shortcut is Alt E. And then go to 50% of the speed. And you have the same. Now you have a slow-mo without any frame blendings. This step by step you can make it with the mouse wheel or with the arrow keys on the keyboard. But a GH4 from Panasonic offers another slow-mo option. It's a real slow-mo option up to 96 frames per second. When we watch this, it's look really, really nice. And what I like is to split the screen. So, okay, this is the moment when the bird tried to escape. I cut the scene and the previous part of this clip I speed up to 300%. Then I bring this both together and now the first part of the clip is in near real time. Then we bring in the slow-mo part. But one you have to keep in mind. The 1080p in the camera is not bad, but when you're looking for high details, like here on the 4K footage, it is so detailed that you can make a still frame. You can use a still frame in nearly 8 million pixel resolution. So the dream comes true for the photographer, because now you have 25 frames per second and you get from each frame the ability to select a single frame and to use it as a still in 8 megapixel. My recommendation, if you try to get this razor sharp high resolution image, then shoot in 4K. And only when you're looking for a high speed in 96 frames per second, because you have some movement, and this is the beauty of this shot, to get the movement, then go to camera and shoot with 69 frames per second or with 50 frames per second in 1080p. The problem on 1080p is the camera downsizes inside the body, inside the software of this camera. And this down sampling is not so good as you can do in a computer. So when you shot something in 4K, bring it into Edius, make your editing, and then render out in 2K or in 1080p. It's much sharper and you have no problem with moire or aliasing. So this is the reason why you should work in 4K in the camera and edit in the computer in 4K. And after this, after you finish your whole project, then you go out probably in your desire 1080p project because you want to put it on the internet or on a Blu-ray or whatever. To show the power of Edius, I want to go to this clip. This clip is 4K. Okay, you see all this detail of this bird, even in 2K resolution on your monitor. But this kind of clip need a little bit of work, of color correction. For this, I use this 3-way color correction. I put this filter on the clip, open up the adjustment window, and now I can separately adjust the contrast for the darker area, for the lighter area, and for the mid-tone. And this is the best way to do this. What I want to bring a little bit more of this darker area down in the contrast, and a little bit more saturation in the mid-tone, probably less in the darker areas. And to see what we had adjust, I'm able to split the screen, and I can change the splitting area. So this is the original and this is the corrected side. I overdone it now that you can see it more clearly what I've done. And the power of Edius is that not only the color correction is in real time, I can play back in real time while I'm adjusting. And to remind you, this is 4K in real time. Probably you say, okay, that's nice, real-time 4K editing on a PC, but what kind of machine I need for this workflow? This is more or less a common PC. It's an i7 with a 4790K CPU, 4 GHz, 16 GB of RAM. The graphic card is a normal NVIDIA card, nothing special. So there is no need to have a big graphic cards to run Edius in real time. And what is in the end? Right, the render out. For this, you go on Export, Print to File, or F11, and then you get a bunch of different codecs you can export to. If you want to render out your 4K footage in 4K, I recommend the H.264 AVZ codec. Find your designated folder, type the name of your project, type the name of your file, and then choose 25 Mbit. 25 Mbit is a good start. If it's variable bitrate or constant bitrate, it's up to you. When you want to put your footage on the internet, for instance for YouTube or Vimeo, then keep in mind only YouTube at the moment delivers a 4K ability on the internet. But for 4K in full 4K resolution, you need a really fast internet line, and of course you need a 4K capable monitor. Anyways, you have the 4K editing ready and want to deliver it for YouTube or Vimeo, go on Exporter. My recommendation is put it in QuickTime Export. Then go to your designated folder, go on Settings. All the menu is in German, but I think you get my point. Choose H.264 as codec. Go to the data rate and cut it to 8,000 kilobits, 8 megabits. It's okay for the internet. Then you can choose fast decoding or high quality coding. On the size, now you can choose your designated HD, full HD. Click on video sources deinterlaced, and Then the last thing you have to do is on the sound. Don't use linear PCM sound, go on AAC compression, and this is good to go. Then of course the name of your file, and you can render out. I hope you enjoy this little tutorial, this little workshop, how to work with the native 4K files from the GH4 from Panasonic into the timeline of Edius Pro 7. Edius Pro 7 is a 64-bit application working on every Windows PC, but if you want to use it on a Mac, this is not a problem. Install Windows on a partition on Boot Camp and you're ready to go. You can use the whole power of your Macintosh to run Edius the same as on a PC. But always at the end I tell you, these are tools, really nice tools, important tools. Camera, lenses, codecs, post-production software, editing, music, all this stuff. But all together and only together it becomes a movie. So go out and shoot, try and find your way to be creative. In this way, with best regards, your Stefan Czech.